Good evening, everybody. Today should have been a day that was going to go down in history. Regardless of what happened, it was a monumental day. Whether or not they chose not to accept the Electoral College results or they chose to accept the Electoral College results, it would have been a day that would have gone down in history as something very memorable and a one time thing that happened to our democracy. But it didn't work that way. Something else happened. What was supposed to be, for a lot of people, peaceful protest turned into something of anarchy. Now, before we go much further into what's going on, today's topic is the fall of a nation. This is a special event broadcast we're doing right now based on the events currently happening right now with us. But I want to say something very, very important first. When the Black Lives Matter protests were going on and some of the Antifa stuff was going on, often people claimed that the entire left side was responsible. And a lot of the left side is not responsible for those. With what's going on right now, a lot of the right are the ones that are acting out. Most of the people who are Trump supporters and voted for Trump are not responsible for these actions. They voted for somebody who they support, who they wanted. They see the president. They thought he was going to be able to do good things for them. So no matter what happens, do not blame everybody that supports one side or another for everything that is happening, because it is a minute number of people that are responsible. With us tonight, we have, of course, Linny and Gabe. Gabe's kind of hidden right now. Let's get rid of that for you. How you doing?
Hi, guys.
Good.
How are you?
So, I had to point it out right away because we all know a lot of people that support both sides of this, and they are in no way like this. So,
Yep.
but the ones who are doing this are making the bad name for the side they're supporting.
Well, it's the loudest. It's the loudest few. Sort of a thing that gets thrown around a lot is the silent majority, and you hear that sort of in
Hang on
both,
1 second. I gotta
Sure.
go.
Okay.
So in both arguments, you hear that. So it's like, but the silent majority it's generally the loudest minority that you hear that are sort of bringing the all of the wrath and the violence and things like that. Most of the people, everybody, that I know on the left or the right are pretty level-headed. They've got genuine concerns. Obviously that's how they're going to lean. But there's a lot of this information going out, and it's leading everybody down these dark paths of paranoia either way.
Now, do you think the cause for all this is straight misinformation?
I think there's so much of it that it's bound to affect people. That mixed with a pandemic where, not to say that all of that information shouldn't be out there as far as COVID-19, but everybody's at a heightened level of stress and paranoia.
I honestly think
person
that the
on the
riots
planet.
we saw earlier this year had a lot to do with people being under that stress level.
Well,
And it's the outlet, it's the escape, it's something to let loose with all these feelings you've had inside.
right.
Now, even the people that caused destruction today or invaded the Capitol building, do you think that they actually had the intent of overthrowing anything, or do you really think it was just trying to be part of the movement?
No, I think the majority of the people that went there sort of followed the path of the people that broke the barricades on the intent of either making a statement on top of the steps of Capitol Hill, and then you had the few more, what's the word? Just extremists that are the ones that were either so stupid that they figured they would go in to the Capitol building and get pictures.
Yeah,
While
like some people have behind them right now.
While inside Pelosi's office or inside the Senate floor, it's ridiculous, and they don't. It's like, how do you even think that you are going to get away with that? There are so many cameras in there. So making a statement is one thing. I think if they were to break the barricade and sort of get to that point, and if it was peaceful, and like I said, it's, I saw some live feed of the CNN or on CNN and Fox. I watch both, and a lot of the people that were going through it, ironically, they had these the line bars, that you're not allowed to cross in order to sort of see the statues and things like that. So I thought that was a good metaphor of what that is, because you had a bunch of people that were just sort of walking through it almost like it was a tour, and they weren't going off the beaten path of the line markers, and then you had people that were just blatantly disregarding.
Now, here's
that.
where I think this is going to go a little bit wrong. If we're looking at the feed right now, which we are,
Yeah.
it is a very peaceful feed. It is people standing around. They're not doing anything. Nobody is being violent or anything like that. But just like I think happened with the other riots we've had earlier this year, those few people are going to make this seem like it didn't exist. And the people that are on this side are going to act like this was all that existed.
Well, there's a lot of sort of back and forth, or there's you know the conversation nowadays is eye for an eye, and it's your guy did it or your people did it, so we're gonna do it. And there's no fixed if you keep going like that. And there's a lot of people on the Senate floor today, Republicans and Democrats, that sort of made that about their speech, where whether they agreed with the election results or not, that they can't. We as a nation cannot go forward if we keep having these battles every single 4 years.
Now, I'm going to turn this over. Welcome back, Lenny. We're glad to have you.
Sorry.
So, we were talking. Now, we had Gabe. Gabe is a very peaceful person. I know this is hitting you hard, and I was extremely angry earlier, and I'm not angry. I'm not really angry at one side or the other. I'm angry at the people that caused this.
Yeah, me too.
Now, I was actually watching for the confirmation to object or deny the election results. I was all watching as this progressed. Now, were you watching it prior to that?
I was not. I was watching a little bit of like just the news with the election thing in Georgia and all of that, last night and this morning. And then I went for a walk and came back, and then this whole thing started to evolve. And I was just appalled. It was just heartbreaking.
Sure.
It made me sick. It was like watching a third world country, that I would have just been like, oh my God, thank God I live in America, was my thought when I was watching it. And here it's here, and for what?
It does seem like you're watching something or it did at that time especially seem like you're watching something from across the pond.
Yeah.
Without a question. What I was telling Gabe is you look now, and this seems like a peaceful protest for the most part. It doesn't seem like anybody is trying to incite violence or cause problems at all, which I think has been what the majority of people there intended to do.
It's
now,
the protest. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, do you think that it is going to come off as worse than it was? Do you think people, as I was asking Gabe, Democrats are going to try to use this and just point, or the left side is going to try to use this and say that it was all violence, it was all what happened earlier. Now, how fair do you think it is that one side is going to be completely punished for this?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be no different than when the Black Lives Matter had protests, and some of it was, turned into some rioting and things like that. And the same thing, I don't know. I think this is just unfortunate all the way around what has
transpired. Now, some people would call that karma. Because when the Black Lives Matter was going on, several supporters on the right side made it an issue to point out that these were all people on the left causing the problems. Is karma the right answer? I mean, we've lived 4 years where most of the arguments for anything has been, but they did it too.
I think what goes
Right.
around comes around. You know, I
Now,
really
what about all
do.
the people that didn't support the violence because they're getting grouped in right now?
Well,
And
it's
how do we
unfortunate.
separate those people? There's a lot of rumors going around that these are Antifa members dressed in MAGA gear,
Yeah,
blah blah
right.
blah, and all these other conspiracy theories out there.
That I can tell you that right now. That's for the people that aren't those rioting people and can't believe that their type of human being would do such a thing. And the reality is they did.
I
You
like the
know.
idea of Kevin Bacon for president. Could you imagine?
Yes.
Everybody would be dancing footloose right now.
Specifically, Kevin Bacon from Tremors.
Okay, that works too. I like the footloose one. I'd rather see
'Cause-
footloose than what I'm seeing right now.
Because he could have Fred. What's that guy's name? Fred Remo Williams.
Fred Willard.
Fred Willard. I think
Fred Willard on there.
as VP.
Now, how did
there.
you feel, Lenny, when this first started to go on? What did you think was going to happen? Where do you think it was going to end?
I was sickened. I was disgusted with our whole United States of America and what's going on right now and all the division, and I was just sickened
Hi,
by
Nikki.
it. I at first
Hello.
I was very happy that our democracy is kind of working like it should. You know, we had an election. It went one direction, just like it did in 2016.
I
There
know
were
I said Willard.
protests.
I'm sorry, Fred Ward.
Fred Ward.
Yeah. There were protests that in 2016, but they didn't do this to our capital, you know. And I was just happy that it was moving along the way it should. I was appalled to find to know that that people could even do this.
You know, I saw
know,
a
it's
lot of
just sickened
Facebook
me.
posts after the election results had come in. And a lot of things that people were posting on Facebook was, gee, I see nice live protests. I don't see any violence or anything, not like when the left has them, not like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff.
Right.
And here we are, we have the opposing side causing maybe not as much, but equally harmful violence, because this is really against the nation at our capital. Now, the point I'm bringing up there is not that one's right and one's wrong, but it goes to show that you can't say your side doesn't do violence, no matter which side you're on.
Right.
There's a select number of people that are extremists on either side, and we're right now seeing them. And, of course, we're seeing a lot more cops and stuff come in. Hey, look at that. I just got to feed to it every once in a while so we can see what's going on. The numbers have greatly dwindled down, obviously, from what we saw earlier, so it's not near as bad as it seemed at that point. It's still a very bad thing because we don't know what's going to happen throughout the night. But at least some people did leave. But now I'm going to address something that people aren't going to be happy with, and I'm going to address our president a little bit. And this is a little partisan, and I'm only saying it because he put out some tweets.
Yeah.
He put out a video message. How do you react to those messages? And please understand, try to view it as a president doing this, not as Donald Trump doing this.
Oh, I think it was completely half-assed. And
That's
I
one way to
mean,
put it.
the problem is that without getting into bashing anybody, the entire problem is turning politics into celebrity, and sort of that, there's so many flags and everything like that, and obviously he's very, very proud, and he is very pissed off right now because the majority was
Same guy.
yeah, Fred Willard, diabetes, right? No,
That's Brimley.
Brimley. Okay. So I'm trying to say this as middle as possible, but
I mean, if you go one way or the other, it's okay. I just don't want to get into the politics of why Trump should have been elected or why Biden should have been elected prior to the election. I just want
Right.
to keep
If
it with
there's-
the events that are current.
if there's a riot in your house, you need to chill people the fuck out. And especially when it's in your living room, So the fact that they've made it to that point, and he was sort of too proud to come out right away. He said keep it peaceful. And then hours went by until he made a half-hearted video, which was the majority of it was his, mad because of the election, and sort of pointing the blame with but let's be peaceful and disperse.
Well, my problem I had with this
Side
video
note.
he did, and I mean, granted, he said something finally. He should have been on the horn right away. But was that he spent the whole time pretty much saying, hey, you're right in what you're doing. You're fine.
Right.
You're supportive. You've got the right reasons to be doing this.
Hey, I'm totally
Oh,
pissed too, yeah.
But, yeah,
But-
let's just be nice.
But then we let them win. And it's them. It's them.
Yes.
And that's what you hear too much is them.
Do you, either one of you, think that video, because they did clear out a little more shortly after that video, do you think that video had anything to do with it? Do you think people were listening to him?
I think once the news got out that people were shot and the pepper spray started going.
And they saw
Yeah.
people laying down, that they were gunmen over top of them. They might
Right.
just want to get out of there so they don't get thrown in prison.
Like
Well,
I said,
I
I
personally
think
know people that were there. So I obviously know it's not the Antifa 2. I know supporters who went there. They wanted to be
Right.
there for
right.
the movement, and I'm sure they did not want to incite the kind of violence that was happening.
Right, and that's the thing about America. You have the right to peaceful protest. Making a statement is what this country is all about, and I would say the majority of people that went there went to, to protest their disdain for the election.
Okay, what statement is that, though?
That they think that somehow it was rigged, and that they are not happy with it, and that they want things to change.
Do you think it was that, or do you think it was half those people were just flexing their muscle?
We shall see, because this is very early on. We don't, we haven't seen anything yet.
Lenny,
You know?
what do you
Yeah.
hope people? What do you think people thought they would gain from this?
Well, I think they just truly believe in the conspiracy theories that the election was rigged, that millions and millions and millions of people that voted for Biden, were delegitimate, that weren't legitimate votes. I mean, come on. And they truly believe that if they go there and do what they're doing, they're going to change something that is going to eventually happen, which is not going to change,
Right.
I mean, I was
And,
very proud at the start of all this, before the I want to say the protest. The protest didn't bother me, but the actual kind of rioting started to take place on there. Because Mitch McConnell, who I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell, I'll tell you right now, but he took the
Right.
stage, and
Turtle.
he literally said, "I've backed him on everything. I have supported the president in everything he's done, but we cannot let democracy fall like this." And I was actually proud for this moment. It
Right.
felt good to see somebody saying that, and then I lost that all. I lost it really quick.
You did. Yeah, it's
Do you think
because
people
it was.
really thought they were going to be able to overturn the election?
I think because of misinformation and miseducation, yes.
Well-
That's why I think so. And this is the problem. This is why I think the anger of some extreme sides hasn't begun yet, because there is still this hope that somehow, through divine intervention, something is going to happen that's going to change it at the buzzer. And
let's-
when that doesn't happen, then there's going to be that finality. Then there's going to be more sort of rage and retaliation, in my opinion.
Now, I have another question about these and what happened. A lot of people were saying because they think they can overturn the election. That's probably partly true, but do you think it has anything to do with the fact that Congress, the Senate, is now declared as victorious for the Democrats? Do you think that had a part to play in this?
I do. I really do. Because this morning, you had the Democrats were in, utopia world, because that had happened, and now something can actually get done, having both the House and the Senate, you know, things that can actually go through for the president.
That'll
You
work
know
for
that
them and Biden when he's in
right.
office. Yeah.
You know that
It
we're
was
not
kind
just
of the
going to get
same
blocked.
feeling. Had to be the same
But
feeling when Trump took, the House
exactly.
and the Senate in 2016 for the right. It had
It's
to be the exact same feeling for them.
exactly. So now all of a sudden, that happened, and maybe those people that were protesting, maybe went there just to be in support of the whole thing, and then that happened, and it just created a little more tension and anger, thinking that all of a sudden, we're going to become some socialist, country, which we're not.
Right.
No. Just
I
like we're
mean,
not going to go downhill in the route when Trump was president. It's not going to happen with
right?
Biden either. If
No,
the people don't allow it. And that's one of
right,
the most important things to remember. Because can we, from either one, when Trump was president or Biden becomes president, either one of those is possible if the people allow it.
right. And that's the beauty of the United States of America, is the fact that we don't. But we don't need to be violent like that, and we don't need to go crawling into our Capitol,
We've
and
stopped a lot
breaking
of stuff from
windows and
happening
everything. Yeah, I mean
without
that's
going
not
that route.
necessary, right? It's just, to me, it's they take those people are making the people that do support Trump look bad. Those
So
specific people.
to expand on that, the ironic thing is that a lot of the politicians that were forced to barricade themselves today were the ones that came out in favor or praised the people that stormed the Michigan State House
Right.
and with guns, and they were completely fine with it. So now that it's come to their front door,
Did you see
is it?
On the desk.
Now it's sort of a problem. So it's there's a lot, but yeah.
Let's go into election fraud for a minute. I really want to discuss this because I have a problem with the election fraud, not because of who won or who didn't win, because people fought the election in 2016, not in this way, obviously, but they fought it. What do you think has convinced people that fraud exists? When people have claimed fraud, every state has gone through it and found no proof. When they've investigated it, found no proof. When the courts have turned down every case because of lack of evidence and you cannot show any. What do you think keeps people on track that fraud actually exists?
The president repeating it over and over and over and over again into a news media that repeats it over and over and over again until they just truly believe. And our social media and friends of mine that write conspiracy theory statements, people just start to believe things that they read and that they hear over and over again. If you don't watch every news channel, you're not getting the whole picture.
And if you're in a room and that's all you're paying attention to is that one outlet, and they tell you that the world is flat, and that's all you ever hear, that's all you are ever going to experience, then eventually you are going to believe that the world is flat.
I mean, honestly, the movie Scream is one of my favorite, but a quote that actually stuck with me had nothing to do with the movie. But it was, she said, how many times can you hear the Richard Gere gerbil story before you start to believe it?
Right. Or the Pop Rocks and Cola story.
Yeah.
That was
same
complete
thing.
bullshit.
What's that one?
People believe it.
That,
You'll explode. You'll
I don't know
explode.
that one.
that
Mix
Mike,
Pop Rocks, and it's different depending on 7-Up, Sprite, Coca-Cola, depending on which version you hear. But it will cause to build up gas, expand, and you will explode.
Oh.
Per se.
and didn't supposedly Mikey from the Life commercial
That's what happened
die
to
from
him.
it? It's bullshit.
What?
It's
Yeah.
complete bullshit.
It's
But
all
that
just
was
things to get
going.
blown
That
out of
rumor
proportion.
was going for like 5 to 6 years. That was around our time, me and Keith. So
But where do you take? I get that you're saying because Trump keeps saying it, and it keeps
And not just
being
Trump.
told in their place. Well, and the right wing
You know-
media, and I'm not talking actually about Fox, CNN, MSNBC, anybody when I'm saying that media. I'm primarily returning. There's like the two main new networks out there, which is what is it?
OAN.
News World and
Newsmax and OAN.
there's- Yeah,
OAN, yeah.
which are conspiracy networks. That's what they're designed for. Oh, Alka-Seltzer and Seagulls. That was another one. I remember that. We used to always sneak some. We used to take the Pablo boat in
I think
Detroit.
that's
Bill,
And we
I
would
love
always sneak
of
out
you.
the seltzer and throw it at them because we believed that shit and we were cruel kids.
isn't that true though?
Oh, Trump's Twitter account just got locked apparently. Interesting.
Good.
Really?
I just popped in my news. I got all these news feeds going around now because I'm just like trying to keep up with what's going on. At the same time, in case anything obviously changes, I don't know if it's going to, but people are still standing there, so you don't know where this is going to lead. But back to the election fraud, I get that he keeps saying and all that. But what is wrong with people that they're choosing the words of a person? Because somebody could tell me the Pop Rocks thing, for an example, and I'll believe it like when I was a kid. Then, more evidence pops up, and I realize the people that were saying that were just selling me a bill of goods that didn't matter. Why can't these people do that?
I don't know.
There's enough evidence supporting
that's
the lack
the
of
magic
fraud.
question.
Right. Like
What makes Donald Trump so powerful in the eyes of his supporters? And if we got any supporters watching out there, please tell us where. I'm genuinely curious where the issue is with that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong for your opinion. I want to know, where is that line?
Try to make sense of what's going on. Because it is confusing. Yeah, I mean, I'm baffled by the whole thing.
I think it goes back to the branding and commercialization of politics.
Well, there was activity happening, but it disappeared.
It's for the past 44 years, I have not heard much of my president. Every once in a while, they come on, they tell you something, they go away. You hear about it. There's
Most
a
presidents
study.
are background.
Right. Because they're public servants. They're not
They're doing their
celebrities.
job. They're doing their job behind the scenes.
Right.
They're not trying to be a reality television show president.
Right. To quote Fight Club, they're not a fucking t-shirt. So
That's a good way to put it.
you get what I'm saying? So that is the problem. They should be called out either way, because if politicians are doing something that you don't like, obviously there are issues way above what's going on right now that both sides aren't demanding enough of in order for politics to change on things like healthcare and job security and this country that need to be addressed, that would benefit everybody. But that stuff is getting lost under all of this
Noise.
Noise
Well, I mean, if you
of
think about it,
total destruction
yeah.
coming from
Bill,
from extreme sides.
Bill, are you even listening to us right now?
Jeez.
It's just kind of hooked. But it's a cute top, isn't it, Bill? It's got flowers. It's like peaceful.
Bill
I wore
hears
it
nothing.
just
He's
for
just
you.
staring at me. He's got his phone this close. He's like, yeah. Like, that's my girl. Come Sunday.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'll have internet Sunday.
We'll see. We're going to hope you do.
I know.
'Cause you'll be awesome
It'll be
for that.
fun. It'll be
I
a
just,
fun one.
There's no real time limit on this show, by the way. This particular one, because we're just running to discuss what's going on and seeing how it's changing.
Sure.
So how do you think it's going to end? Let's all make a prediction.
Well, I think he's going to become president. I think he's going. I think the Senate is going to be in a majority.
You're talking Biden.
Yep, Biden. And I think that's all going to
point.
go.
Fair point, Bill.
Whether it can be public or not, it's all going to happen. And then we'll see.
If
you know?
anything, I would not be surprised if this ensured Biden's presidency.
Well,
Because I think the way they've terrified the Senate and the way they've terrified the House and they've terrified everybody in the Capitol building, I don't think they want to see this anymore. I think they're realizing what is becoming of certain people.
My concern is more Timothy McVeigh's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is where my concern lies, because you're going to have a lot of people. You got these far right extremists Some of them sort of, it's sort of the equivalent of keying cars and telling other people to fight, or telling more unstable people
Do you
to
think this is going to
go.
lead to a civil war?
No,
No,
This is how it starts.
I don't think it will,
I
because this
think,
is how it starts and everyone recognizes that.
Yeah,
So
but you think
therefore,
they'd recognize it before it started.
yeah, but I don't think this country wants a civil war. I think we're too pampered in order
Well, most of
to
this country does
have
not
one.
want what we saw today,
Yeah,
but it took those few to make it happen.
it in a large part. I think everybody's so used to the phone and their creature comforts that, like, do they want to go foraging for food and have, you know, uh, battlegrounds in their front yards and things like that?
I
Nobody,
don't
nobody
think when
wants
we're
that
talking a
shit.
civil war in the modern era, we're talking the same kind of civil war as the 1800s.
I don't think it's, but I don't think you can have something that's small at that point, right? So, what does it become? So, is the is government going to take a side with that, and how would it do that? It's already the United States. So, obviously, before a civil war happens, you need to, I don't know. I have no idea how that would
you
work,
know
but
what? I don't think it's going to happen. I think we are going to change. There will be a change to Biden. There will be a change in the Senate. There will be, and hopefully, everyone, Democrats and Republicans both, are learning from what has gone on, and maybe they'll pay a little bit more attention to how each side feels. You
yeah,
know,
Yeah,
so that way that when they do make changes, they don't make changes that just make one side happy. That
and
they
I
Bill,
try
don't.
to
you've
work they try to work together.
Right.
So maybe something like this will open up their eyes and actually make them work together to find that middle ground.
Hmm.
I hope that.
I do too. Bill, you've got an excellent point right now. I thought the same with Ross Perot, honestly, when he was. There's a thing I've always learned about businessmen, and this does apply, in my opinion, to Trump too, and this is one of the reasons why I was not for Trump presidency in 2016, was the fact that a person in business who's a billionaire, who made all his money, usually does not give a crap about the people at the bottom. Well, 95% of America are the people at the bottom. They care about money, they care about power. I'm not saying this is necessarily true of our current president or not, but that's a very good point. And I did not want Ross Perot either. Because when the majority of America is the lower and middle classes, you need somebody who understands those classes.
Sure. But at the same time, the more important issue, and something that everybody left and right agrees on, is term limits for these congressmen, and the fact that you have lobbyists filling their pockets every single day. That's what's this bill is. All these bills that are filled yearly within the budgets. It's all, you know, for their interests of their particular lobbyists and things like that. And that, to me, if you could stop that, then that would be more important than the president, whoever he may be, left or right, will ever be.
This is, I mean, the last 4 years, this moment especially, is going to go down in history. I mean, it is one of the biggest times that our nation has undergone something like this. Sorry, I am looking at the video on the side, like, make
Sure.
sure nothing happens. That's why I keep turning, because I want to display it if anything is going on. But it's going to be a day that goes down in history. And that's not what happens with presidents. Presidents are here. They're usually background. They get things done. They don't. They're gone. We replace it. We move on.
Right.
Now, for the next 4 years, I originally thought that things were going to settle down. I thought one side was going to come to terms. The other side is happy because they won, just like it was 4 years prior to that. Do you still think that's going to be the case? Because I'm wondering now.
Well,
It'll
it
cool
depends.
down. It'll cool down. Right now, I think this happened for a couple reasons. You've got the head of the chain, you know, feeding the fire. You've got that doesn't want to lose, that denies losing at all costs. Whether, more conspiracy theories float out there, he believes them. He throws it to his base, they believe them. It's going to keep going. Once that kind of subsides and stops, things will level out, and there will be a change, and there will be a different atmosphere, and there won't be that gasoline thrown on the fire, of course, unless he gets some talk show and
Oh, he
has
will.
all of his followers out there.
He will.
Or a news
or a news network or what it may be. But I do think it'll slow down, just like it did when Hillary lost and he became president, and everyone that didn't support him, that thought it was just a crazy joke. I might have said that. I might have. But anyway.
One day he's going to spell your name right, too.
It's okay. You can spell it however you want. So,
Oh, don't say it then. Now he's going to think you like him.
no, but you guys, you think about it. Back in 2016, so everyone that did not vote for Donald Trump was feeling the same way these people are feeling right now.
Sure.
They felt like it wasn't a legitimate election, that the Russians interfered. There was protesting done, right
There
afterward.
was a difference. I want to call
The difference was they didn't riot, okay? But here's the thing. That all subsided. So this will too. It did slow down.
I what I'm seeing right now is what I thought had subsided was just building up to something else.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm wondering, if this is still going to be building up to something else. Now, the difference I wanted to point out last time, when people claimed Russia interfered with our elections, they were referring to interference as far as social media, as far as posts, as far as websites, as far as spreading disinformation.
Right.
Not as far as making our ballot machines change votes.
Right.
Not as far as actually attacking the process we have as a nation with a democratic process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is that we all knew that he was coming up with something of this sort to delegitimate to make it.
He laid the groundwork.
He laid the groundwork early, so every single person that wasn't going to vote for him was already going, "Oh, he's going to be doing this after if he loses. It's just going to happen." So we all kind of knew it was coming. Right. Everyone else didn't know it was coming because they thought he was going to win.
It's the vocabulary that he's putting out there too.
Right.
It's the
buzzwords.
Excuse me. Yeah, the buzzwords.
Right.
It's just as far as the voter fraud, throwing that out there. It's just No, I agree.
I knew enough people who were going to vote for Biden that I knew it was going to be a close race. Really, that's what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to be a landslide for either candidate. Electoral college-wise, according to Trump's own words in 2016, this was a landslide for Biden. But aside from all that, I didn't think it was going to be, because I don't think it was in 2016 either. Yeah. I was prepared for it. I don't think the margin by which he won was anything really to dispute, because, let's face it, popular vote-wise, whether you agree or not, in 2016 more people did vote. So it was very possible it was going to go the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the unhidden, it's the hidden vote that really happened. And a lot of this was sort of put on the fact that, okay, there's not the argument is there's not a lot of Biden signs in front of houses.
Well, because
people
name them and
you want to know why?
I understand. Yeah.
Because seriously, you want to know why? My neighbor said she wouldn't put one out because she was afraid.
Yeah.
Of exactly kind of what's happening at the
Sure.
now. She was afraid to put it out. So
I get that. I didn't think that was it. It's good to know. I didn't even think about that. I really thought in 2016 Trump won based on a silent majority. People weren't talking. They were going to go to the ballot box and vote for Trump, and they did. Mm-hmm. But yet the same people cannot believe that happened this time. Because if you didn't notice, like if you were watching your social media, For 3 years, flack was constantly going back and forth about either side, from either side.
Hmm.
In the last year, at least from my end and from what I saw, a lot less flack came from the left side. A lot more silence, like almost the kind of "I'm done talking about it" type deal.
Hmm.
They became a silent majority. Why can one side not believe that the same effect can affect the other side?
Well, or if they do, then it goes back to eye for an eye. Well, your side did it, so now it's our turn. You know.
I don't think anybody did it as an intent. Like, I don't think the silent majority was a like intended to be that. I don't think it was that was the case in 2020 either.
Hmm.
I think they just got tired of it and said, "We'll take it to the ballot box."
You know,
No,
I'm happy that we have what we have with 4 and 8 years, 4 or 8 years, because the thing is that what the Republicans need is so different than what the Democrat people, like people living in a city compared to people living in rural South Dakota. It's
Hmm.
so completely different. So if you always had one party running the whole thing, those people are not getting all of their needs. So having this change, maybe we should just have it. Maybe it should just be a given that every 4 years it changes.
well,
You
that goes
know?
back to the problem with the two-party system.
No, but it could simply be okay, for 4 years it's a Democrat as president. You pick that person. The next 4 years it's a Republican as president. You pick that person. And then they're not fighting amongst
Yeah, but I think you go
parties
into a game of ping pong
or a
and
third
nothing gets
party.
accomplished.
Then you throw no. Because then you do the same thing with your Senate. They're not in there forever.
Hmm.
You
Well,
know?
I mean,
I don't
Well,
know.
term limits
if
again, absolutely.
if they broke it down and they actually took things issue by issue, and again, going back to sort of catering, I think it's more about rich and poor and affecting middle class. And if you put the focus on the middle class, with helping out the poor and letting the 1%, succeed, but at the same time making sure that they pay their share instead of sort of all of these, these freebies that they're getting, along with, when it comes to rural, right now, a lot of these farms are getting these checks, for in the stimulus package to help them out, which they've been getting
So
for the past 4 years.
can I break in really quick?
Sure.
Talking about a stimulus package, so many Republicans keep throwing out this socialism thing. We're going to become a socialist country. Well, what the heck do they think those checks were? That's
A gift
government
from Trump.
working. But that's
I mean,
that's
but that's
that's
how they see it.
government.
They're not seeing it as socialist. They're seeing it as independent
But
gift from a
I
nation that
mean,
cares.
Social Security, Medicare,
It's called
Medicaid,
Social
those
Security.
checks,
Like,
all of that is government working for the people, and they're making not. I'm not even a socialist person,
we are a
but
country of
the
several
reality
socialist
is
ideas.
exactly. But we're not. I mean, I don't want the government taking over, but I do
Hmm.
want the government working for the people that, like my sister and my sons that
Oh yeah.
are handicapped. I want them helped.
Especially in a real time of emergency. This
Right.
is the biggest thing that we've ever gone through with COVID. And you would think that this country would be more prepared to take care of its people for at least a year, considering how much we put in
Right.
to this country money wise, because every taxpayer pays all the poor, all the middle class, and to a certain extent, the 1%, that we should be able to be saved or at least get some help during this whole thing. And all of the other countries have proven that they are way better at it. I don't necessarily agree with their methods of government, but there's something to be said when you can organize your government and its people to get shit done.
But you know what? It does show in all these other countries that it can work.
Sure.
That's that's what people are often missing, is that it can work. All
Yeah.
these ideas. The thing is, people are afraid of change, and Republican ideals are very well supported by people, especially people who consider themselves patriots, who love this country, because it sticks to a lot of what the Constitution says that hasn't changed in 200 years. So they're in heavy support of that. And the problem is the country needs to advance as well. However, the Democratic side often looks at change being more important than preservation, which I don't think is the right route either. So where do you draw a line to meet in the middle? I mean, we obviously can't elect another party because they're never going to make the ballot by the system we have now.
I mean, we could, but that's the problem, is that the majority of people that are on one side that want to vote third party, they either do and they're lost, they're lost in the pile, or they're so scared
You got to watch your words.
that other person that they don't like is going to get voted in, that they ended up voting against their interest.
What about empathy? Why do you think that this side...
That's a whole nother show, man.
I'm not saying the left has empathy, but in the situation we're facing right now, it really mirrors a lot of things of 2016. Just flip-flopped.
Sure.
Why do you think this current side does not see this is what they were going through? Same thing happened then. And how do you not see that you're doing the exact same things you condemned another side for doing that I agree was, in a lot of ways, not right at the time? How do you...
It's their guy, and it's their
Team.
world, their
It's
team.
like a football game.
Right.
All right, then let me ask you now, how do you think Trump came to be this idol? Because he's not a president. He's an idol.
Right.
How do you think he came to be? I mean, what did he do so differently?
He made a brand. He's got a brand. And he brought that brand, and he
had a television show
just as well as he did.
Reagan had one too.
That's why that's how he got elected
but
too.
You didn't have Reagan hats or anything like that. There was still a certain point.
He marketed himself, is what you're saying.
Right. I mean, look at all the flags, man. Like, look where all the T-shirts and flags and everything like that. And it's not even about Republican anymore. It's about the name.
No, even most Republicans agree that Trump is a Trump party. Republicans are a Republican party.
Right. So you're almost in a third party.
By the sound of it, and you never know by what outlets you watch how true it is, but by the sound of it, Republicans want to go back to being a Republican party.
Right.
The majority.
And like, I liked Obama, and
I did too.
But I'm not going to buy a T-shirt. I'm not going to buy a hat, a bumper sticker. I just don't care because he's a public servant. Same thing that goes for Biden. I'm not, and I think the majority of people, they don't buy into that celebrityism, and they shouldn't for a public servant, because you're putting them on a pedestal instead of making them work for you.
I'm going to get to you, Ashley, because now we're going to get into a little partisan, and that's absolutely correct what you just said. He created the Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is a term that has been used by both sides, actually.
Sure.
Constantly one side stealing it from the other one, and that's really true, but that is exactly what he did. He marketed himself as when he first marketed himself, he said it as, you can't believe what anybody else but me tells you.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't create the Kool-Aid. That happened a long time ago.
He created this Kool-Aid.
He created this Kool-Aid.
Well, there was
No, I'm going to agree with that, because I do think that he has a lot of responsibility of division in this country. I'm not saying he's the cause, 100%, and I know it was building long before he was ever elected, because that division is why he got elected. Mm-hmm. That hatred towards government is why he got to the system, is why he got elected in the first place. But he did create the Kool-Aid, because the thing with creating the Kool-Aid is it's one person that does it.
Right.
And they give it to the flock.
Right.
And that's what he did. He preemptively dismantled the media. He did. The guy, like him or hate him, he's a genius.
But that sort of
What he did.
conversation started happening around Palin, right? Didn't Palin
Yes.
sort of start bringing that sort of conversation around, and McCain sort of held back on it and sort of wanted to stick to those traditional, courtesies and things like that, and Palin sort of let this sort of come in, and a lot of people sort of saw Palin and they said, that's where I want to go with this country. And
difference-
I think that opened the floodgates when you started, obviously with those rumors that Obama wasn't American and all that stuff. It all started there, and then it's just
But
the
there was a big
floodgates have been.
difference in those, because with Palin and McCain, however, they were politicians.
Sure.
People looked at them. They said, "You're politicians." They said, "You're full of shit." They said that. Trump was not. Trump was a businessman, so we don't have to not believe what he says because he's a politician. Trump was somebody who came in and he had lots of money for a different reason, because he knew how to work. He was the art of the deal. And all that. And that was, I mean, that's what he ran on. I'm not agreeing or not agreeing that I'm disagreeing. He is not
Sure.
the best deal maker in the world. But he ran on that. He ran on the brand. So he is the one who really started this. The idea behind it, with politicians saying it throughout history and long before Trump, was the fact that they were politicians. The job was to, discredit the opposing side, to make them look bad, to do whatever you got to do to, make you believe that everybody else is lying to you. But we all knew, you're a politician, you're a fucking liar.
Right.
Trump came
Okay.
in and
Trump
convinced it
came
the
in
other way.
with a reality television show and a business name, so it's familiar. You think about when you actually go and fill out your ballot, especially in your 20s and 30s, and you're not into watching politics or watching the debates or any of that sort of thing. What do? Oh, it's like a multiple choice, questionnaire in high school. You
Guilty
typically
just as much.
whoever is like the top ones, and then every once in a while you'll skip one and just fill that in. You don't know even what you're doing. So now someone comes in that is familiar, whether you like them or not. It's a familiar name, and you're just gonna vote. You're just gonna vote for him.
With
Period.
what Bill said is true. He said with what he owns, he knows how to
Yeah.
advertise and get the people interested.
Yeah.
Or his peoples know how. Which is exactly what it was. He ran on the brand, as Gabe said earlier. It was on the brand and on the name. But my flaw comes in here is, how do you not see or look past the wrongdoing and question it?
Then it became a cult. Then it became they drank the Kool-Aid.
Now,
That's
before
my
I go
opinion.
heavily with that comment, because in a sense you're right, I'm not going to disagree that it became a cult, but it was a very small percentage that actually became this cult.
Right. I'm not saying them all of them. But
Yeah,
it
it was.
definitely became a following.
The
Yeah.
following is definitely
So maybe
something
that's a
even
better word than saying a cult. But
I think
same kind of thing.
there's many different types of Trump followers. I think it leans all the way from, your typical Republican and Republican values, Christian values, things like that, as far as those beliefs, all the way up to just the QAnon or QAnon conspiracies and things like that. And when you have someone who is a one-upper or a instigator, it's just, I always joke that the last person I would ever want going into a bar with me is Donald Trump, because if he started a fight, I'd be the one getting hit. Because that's just, I think he's the type.
Okay, Bill, I love you.
That's all he needed to hear.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We knew it would turn into a comedy show. Thanks, Bill.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you step back, and I'm sure the rest of the world would have to agree, this is a comedy show.
It
I
is.
know.
It is a joke. And I mean, the rest of the world, no matter who you support or anything, if you ever said the world is laughing at us or anything, they may have been, they may not have been, they are now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what we need
Because-
now is more empathy and more humility.
They basically have seen that two sides are little crybaby sore losers.
Right.
They have. The two sides of America. And it's true, because the left was just equally as guilty, whining about every single thing Trump did. Not everything Trump did was bad. Not, and all they did was whine and bitch and complain and couldn't say anything positive whatsoever, or look the other way, or look beyond some of his misgivings. And the same thing's happening on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we're a bunch of whiny, pussy-ass little babies in this country.
Yeah.
When are we going to grow up?
Hey, Bill, did he say pussy ass?
Doesn't matter what I say. You just said it now, and he's going to comment. He's going to say, wait, did Lenny just say pussy ass?
Yeah.
But when are we going to grow up? We'll wait for Bill to comment. I'm sure he will.
Yeah. No, I think we do need that middle party. We have left extreme, we have right extreme. I think Biden is that middle party, and that's why I think him being here, even if it's only for 4 years, as a transitional jump into what happens next in our country. We'll see what wind up. Yeah, see?
Careful, use the wrong word, Bill. You could get banned, remember? No, apparently white trash you can't use, but pussy ass is fine.
Yeah. So I just hope and I pray that our country comes together and that
Yep.
Joe Biden kind of learns from these last 4 years of what the other side needs and wants and is able to go across that party line and help unite America in a way that we've never had before. That's what I want.
Biden was feared by a few people for a few different reasons, and he is actually more middle of the road than a lot of the other candidates we had.
Sure. But he was Obama's vice president. And I
Well, that's
think
why he's hated most.
That's why he's hated most, right?
But the thing is, like, the Republican Party got along better with Biden than they did Obama.
Right.
So I have to make one little comment. So if during the Obama Biden years we didn't become a socialist country, what is everyone worried about?
We didn't have
Our
somebody
guns
throwing the
weren't
buzzwords
taken
out there.
away. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But the buzzwords
What are they
out
worried
there now.
about? Not from
And Trump,
not from him.
Trump has laid the groundwork to his supporters. He has laid the groundwork to say, I saved you. Mm-hmm. And he's
From
also
what?
laid the groundwork to say, I was the... Doesn't matter from what. He said
Right.
it.
Yep.
He said, I save you. So he's got now the groundwork to say, if you lose me, you lose the freedoms I saved you from. Mm-hmm. And that's
Which was
what's
nothing.
happening.
Which was nothing.
Right.
But
Because
you're
I haven't found
people
anything.
aren't looking at that. They're literally looking at he was the one that pulled us out of this mess that we were no longer really in. We had been pulled out of this. We were making traction out of the mess created 8 years before even Trump got elected.
But isn't that funny? It's like what the biggest question that everybody needs to ask themselves, besides taxes, how has your world changed by president?
Right.
No matter
Even this
who was in
president.
office,
The only thing that's changed with this president is the way the people are behaving.
right? Like if you're constantly employed, I've been with the same
Aside from
company
COVID,
almost,
of course.
I've been aside from COVID, but if you've had the same job for 20 years, if you're in the same place, same house, it's like what has really changed for you? Either way, either in the past 8 years with Obama or the past 4 years with Trump.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer that question
Sure.
because I was in a restaurant one time talking to someone about this similar thing. So I have had my own business. Okay, I've pretty much always voted Republican because it kind of helped my business.
Sure.
Less taxes, all that sort of thing. But now on the other side of the coin, I have two autistic sons, a handicapped sister, and now a mother who is going to be in need of help. and that I can't personally afford to help. So in a democratic government, they help people like that more.
Sure.
The services were taken away from them when Trump came in. I might have gotten a few extra dollars on my taxes, but it wasn't enough to make a difference in what they needed. They cut the services. Okay, so you have to cut taxes other places to not pay taxes.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so the Ark of Oakland, these places that actually my sister would go to a workshop, a van would come and pick her up. Those are all tax-payered things that help the disabled.
Right.
They had to make cuts in those places on busing, on staff, on days of them being able to go do those things. And this is what people don't realize. So yes, Republican me. That I voted for Republican. I basically vote for who I think is a good person. And Donald Trump was not who I voted for because of personal reasons that I chose not to vote for him.
For morality.
Because when he made fun of the reporter, was it for me?
And the disabled person, and there were loads of things, and the racism stuff, because I am so against that. There was just too many moralistic things. Okay. So now, would I vote for a Mitt Romney? Probably. Would I? It depends on who that person is and their morals behind it. So I guess I'd have to call myself an independent. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat. But right now, I'm not
the person you think is the best candidate, the
right.
best person for the job.
Right.
And morally,
so here's my answer to that question. Okay, It's the fact that when you are looking, when you're looking at that little bit of taxes that I saved from Donald Trump cutting taxes or whatever, it was minute.
Right. No, I agree.
And then I looked at how much it changed the lifestyle of my handicapped extended family. And it was disheartening. It made me sick to my stomach reading all the things that were sent to me that were being cut. Please call your congressman. Please call your this. This is going to be cut. That's going to be cut. These people, that's the only thing, that's their life. That's their livelihood. And people don't understand that. They're looking at their little, I can go to the bar and have an extra, $1,000 in my bank at the end of the year. Big flipping deal, Well,
that actually came out too, because looking at my checks, it was
a lot different.
It was a lot different because it wasn't.
You lost more money in your checks for most people.
Right.
You did get more back at the end of the year.
Right, but
you lost more weekly.
It was like 600 over the year.
Lost more than they did prior to the change.
And then I lost like 2,000.
They just never saw it. Because Trump was the art of the deal in that sense.
That very first one, everybody was like, woo, I got a little extra bucks on, Yeah.
But that's the thing, nobody even noticed it.
Nobody sees it.
Everybody was like, what the fuck just happened to my return?
They think that return was everything. Don't realize you paid out more. Yeah. And that's not conspiracy. That's fact. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. If you look at your paycheck. So for some people, it was just dollars more a week.
Right.
But that added up to being a chunk in your tax return you didn't expect.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lenny, I agree with you on on as far as the benefits for disabilities and things like that, occupational therapy, all of that stuff.
There were cuts across the board, and it makes me mad.
In the same boat, yeah. But I'm saying, like, mine was sort of the generalizing of, the effects of either way. For a person that doesn't have to care for a special needs person or grandparent, or parent, the majority is sort of basic. Nothing. It doesn't change much.
Right.
To me.
I wish people could see it, understand that, and that's the biggest problem from either side, is that your people who voted Trump and love Trump, who saw that, don't see what it did to you, Lenny.
Right.
They don't see the change. They see the positive outcome. They think you are voting out of hate. They think your dislike of somebody comes out of just pure hate for the man without reasoning. And it works the other way around too. You know, there are the people in the middle class that are seeing actual extra money because those tax breaks went to corporations and people who were higher end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them did. And they are making more money. And they're not seeing that. They think they're just looking at, even I think sometimes people just look to Trump like this idol, like this god. And it's not. He has actually benefited them in many ways. But nobody is seeing the hurt caused by the people who are complaining and what it's actually doing to them. And I wish we could take the time to actually talk to each other for a change.
Sure.
Because that would make all the difference in the world if you could actually understand where somebody is coming from instead of just degrading them and downing them. And don't get me wrong, because the left was equally responsible in some of the insults and stuff they slung around. It was disgusting for both sides. It was disgusting what people were saying. Nobody listened. Nobody cared about anybody else's opinion.
But how do you do that? Like, how can you project empathy for an entire nation when people aren't able to see outside their front door anymore?
Leave the box. Be
Right.
different.
But is that going to happen?
If you drink your wine slowly,
I didn't hear anything about a peppermint pogo stick.
Well,
it might happen. Bill, you're
Sunday's
awesome.
Gonna be a trip. Sunday is going to be a trip, Bill. Now you said something, a term that really, really gets to me, Gabe. You said it earlier, and I don't know if a lot of people have heard the term before, but it means a lot because it really deserves to be dissected. That term is the United States.
right.
We are a united country. We should stand as a united front of people. We should understand each other. We should listen to each other, and we're not. We don't
Well, I
want to
think we're-
become the divided states.
I think we're trying. And I think right now is time to try harder, to understand the other side's views, the other side's, wants, needs, everything.
I've
And
said
I
it
hope
before.
they learn from this.
I've said it before that I believe both sides want the same thing.
I
Ultimately, they want the
completely
same
agree.
thing. They have different goals of attaining it. Mm-hmm. They think different things will lead to what they want, but they still want the same thing. They want a
Right.
happy life. They want money. They want contentment. They want a job. They want family and the ability to support them.
Security for their kids. Yep.
Yes. That's all that people want. Just because they have a different way of attaining it, they don't think one is good over the other, there's no reason to hate them for it. We got a whole show on the hate of the nation right now. I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to do something I never thought we'd do, so I'm going to just give everybody
Sing a
just
song?
a minute.
You're going to sing a Disney song?
I'm gonna be a mighty king, so enemies beware. Oh wait, that's Trump's theme song. I'm sorry, that was wrong. Now, I'm gonna give you a chance right now to, even partisanly for each one, just vocalize your complete opinion. I don't care, positive or negative, because I want to hear exactly your dislike or like for anybody else. And don't worry about trying to keep it sided. We'll go back to that momentarily. Also, Ashley said it should be Mulan. So I'll make a man out of you. It's going to be impossible if you're talking about the president. And before people get down on me saying anything against Trump or anything like that, if anybody's out there, that's part of humor. Humor's existed forever. You ever watch SNL? They made fun of every fucking president on every fucking episode I ever watched of that show, no matter who was in office at the time. Humor is a part of life. If it's funny, go along and joke with it. So, all right, Linny,
Yeah.
what's your true opinion right now? Open, no holds barred.
My true opinion is that I am happy that we can go forward from this and hopefully learn from it. I am happy that Donald Trump was not elected again by millions of people. I am saddened by the fact that we had to do some destruction, today on a day that should have been a happy day that democracy was working. Do I hate this president? No. I don't believe he ever should have been president. I don't even think he wanted to be. I think he
I
just
don't think
wanted
he did
to
either.
I think he just
I don't-
wanted to
yeah.
win I think he just wanted to win,
Or just
or
or publicity.
publicity and extend his name.
Right, and then
So
extend his brand. But then it
exactly.
happened, yeah.
But then it happened, and now we've come to this.
Hmm.
So I am looking forward to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris stepping in, whether it even be for 4 years, to try to reunite our United States, not divided states. And hopefully they learn from today, and that they can kind of get things kind of put back together, the economy and this virus
Right.
that we haven't talked about at all, you know, and that, I just hope that we can move along.
Yep.
What about you,
That's how I
Gabe?
feel.
Same thing. Like I was saying earlier, I can't wait to not hear from our president. I just want a business as usual. I want, obviously, I want things to change. I want all of these things for the better, help out our people, get the COVID under control with a clear statement of this is what we're going to do. This is serious. It could escalate into this, but we're all going to take this seriously. There's no doubt about it. And this is how you're going to take care of it. And this is how we're going to help you. Instead of going, well, I don't know, not a whole lot of people over here in this warm state were affected, but over here in this other state, they were totally affected. So you can't make things like that, and that goes back to the United States, of we all need to get on the same fucking page.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will sort of at least get the message from the top, one of consistency in trying to help out the rest of the people. From what I've seen from Biden, he is trying, even though people don't agree with him, even when they were out on the steps today and he made his speech, that he is trying to be as civil to both sides, because obviously everybody's hurting from the Trump camp, but he's not just saying, well, fuck those guys,
Right.
So, and that's how you got to do it. You can't just have, if you're the CEO of a company, you can't just go, well, fuck those guys, they don't work for me, so
Yeah.
we're not going to give them any benefits, we're not going to take care of them if they're sick.
Okay. If that would have worked, if
Right.
that right what you said was true, Trump would be president again.
Right.
But because he did that,
Right.
he divided the people he could have had.
And he was his own worst enemy, because
He
if
totally
he
had
would
the
have just,
capability to be
He
a
had the
would've just-
capability.
if he would have just went away for more than, and stopped talking shit about everybody who talks shit about him, you gotta have spine. And he is very thin-skinned. So everybody from Rosie O'Donnell to whoever, he's got to come out at, instead of just saying, well, fuck that guy. But I'm not going to say anything.
As pointed out briefly by Ashley, I just want to
Okay,
say,
Keith, it's your turn.
I'm going to in a second. Congress has resumed, just so everybody knows.
Oh, good.
So there's good
Surprised they
news on
didn't
that
have
right
to
now.
make sure that there wasn't COVID in that room.
Sprinkled around, or anthrax or something crazy.
Well, I'm glad to see, of course, that the sake of place Congress is resuming. And narcissism is a hell of a disease. That's right, Ashley. It is. And that's something he definitely suffers from, unfortunately. And
I have to ask-
don't care
He's
whether
never
you
said
support him or
sorry.
not.
He has never
Yeah.
said sorry
He
ever.
He can't.
And you cannot have somebody like that.
What were you going to say, Lenny?
Oh, Ashley had a horse in her picture. I just wondered if she rides horses.
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't even notice that. Okay, so you want my opinion right now. Now, this
Do
is
it.
where I am not going to be the same. I think Trump's a fucking asshole. I thought he was an asshole from the start. I do not think there's anything wrong with voting for morality. However, Trump had there was a lot of thought in my head that said Trump could work out. He could be what this country needs. In a sense, I think he was what the country needed. because we would not be in the position we are now as far as paying attention to politics and realizing what we do and realizing how important it can affect our lives if it was not for Donald Trump. Whether you support him or you're against him, I think he was needed. I think he needs to go. You're right. If he'd have shut his damn mouth, he would probably be president again. Now, hold on. Now Lenny is talking about horses. Please don't tell me it's horses right now, because we're not going to go that far. His followers, I don't understand. I do not understand how truth can be presented in front of you and you can choose to ignore it and not to see it. I don't know what happened to people that happened. And I blame the people for dividing us as much as I blame Donald Trump for dividing us, the Republican Party for dividing us, and pretty much government as a whole for the last few years for dividing us. Going to Ashley for a second, she says she does, and her cousin owns Canterwood Farm in Oxford.
Nice.
Needs to know. So there you go, Lenny. I was really excited that Biden got elected, but not because it was Joe Biden.
Right.
Because I was really looking for a return to some kind of normalcy. When Biden was elected at the end of the year, I saw this speech that he gave, and it wasn't the best speech in the world. It really wasn't. But compared to what we had seen for the last 4 years, it was really nice to see.
Being on an alien world,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
You didn't realize the contrast of what you were missing at the time. Yes, people poked fun at it. People, said whatever they wanted because they disliked the guy. But honestly, it was something we needed.
Refreshing.
I remember when Trump's acceptance speech was pretty much, yeah, they all suck. But I'm the king. I'm the leader. Yeah, sure, it's funny at the time if you're watching it, but it didn't mean as much. Every time Biden has come out over the last 60 days, I have said this guy is the kind of president we need right now.
Mm-hmm.
We got the test because he is acting like a president. I don't know what he'll do. If he does nothing, that's fine. It'll be a return to normalcy. We can't handle this hate. I know for a fact the Republicans, I don't know for a fact, but I believe from what I have read, what I have seen, what I have heard, that Republicans are going to work with Biden. We're finally going to get, things accomplished we want to get accomplished. Because a lot of times we got to the point in the House where people are saying no just because it's Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying yes just because it's Donald Trump. What kind of government are we running? Today I saw this and I was almost in tears, ashamed of our nation that we came to this point. That people are fueled with so much hate and anger that they will storm the Capitol knowing it's not going to change a damn fucking thing. Biden won the election. The election fraud is a farce in every way. Bill says neither should be president, lesser of two idiots. That's true in most elections, though, honestly. There were much better candidates, I think, that could have still beaten Trump, but I think Biden's support actually helped him win.
I think
because he was Obama's Biden.
I think going forward too, I think on both sides, if
Bacon.
I think Biden's got his hands full because on either side, if he's fucking up, then we're done with being silent. If one thing
That's why I
that
think
Trump
we needed
has
Trump.
done,
Mm-hmm.
it has made people pay attention to politics. And now everybody's paying attention to politics.
Everybody's paying attention.
And they're not going to just
Everybody.
shadow in the top
Right.
box.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and hopefully they don't shadow in the bottom ones either. Hopefully they're paying attention to local government because that's what is
Right.
Affecting them way more than the
federal.
presidency. Right.
Right.
Right. Everybody goes after Whitmer about fixing the damn roads, but they don't understand that the cities are the ones that fixes the roads and that Whitmer's the one that fixes the freeways. So it's like, and the freeways
We're
are
not
going
going
to
to get into Whitmer because I'm not happy with Whitmer either.
I know.
But
I'm just that general argument, though. It's like
now the thing is you're right. That argument is absolutely right. And like I said, I'm not going to get after Whitmer.
Sure.
Everybody hates her. And the thing is, that's the same in every state.
Yeah.
People just don't realize it.
Right.
They hate their governor. Most of them are going through the same kind of lockdowns, the same kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate no plan in place. And I do believe Biden will have one. Something you said resonated, because I feel a little bit sorry for Biden. because Biden does have a lot on his hands.
Man, if he
But you
wasn't
know what the
great,
big
he'd
thing
be
is
great.
but in 2012, look what Obama entered into.
Oh yeah,
I mean, same thing. So he has dealt with having to bring us back from something both times, something major. And I do believe his job is harder, though he doesn't have the economic disaster that Obama had. The same kind of one. We still have one, but we have ways to fix it as far as COVID and unemployment goes, and people
Just-
getting their money.
just getting qualified people in there that have actually done that job or a variation
But
of
he has
that
to
job
fix
forever.
something that money can't, and that's going to be his hardest job. And he has to sow the division.
Yeah,
He has to bring us together, and it's going to be hard as hell to do because he's got to make that side like him. Trump had it easy because Trump didn't care. Trump said the left hates me, well, fuck the left.
right.
I'll say what I want, I'll insult him, I'll do what I want, I don't care, my right supports me. Biden has to do the opposite. He has to say, I know you don't like me, but let's see if we can pull this off, and that's going to be a really hard job for him.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think...
I don't think so. I think he is
You don't
the
think it's
right.
going to be hard for him to
No.
turn Trump supporters over to him?
They'll
I
never.
think it. Well, I think it'll be hard,
That's what I'm
but I
talking
think
about.
he's the right person to do it. I don't
I
think any
didn't
of the
say
other
he wasn't.
candidates.
I said because he was Biden, I think is why he got this election, honestly. Even though I think there were better candidates that could have, would have done a better job, I don't
And
think they could have beaten Trump.
I still think that Biden will be the right person. That some of these Trump supporters, not the radical ones that are climbing into the
Well, of
Capitol
course,
building,
of course.
but I do think that they're going to come around and say, okay, this guy can go across that party line and see my views. I do think that is what's going to happen.
I hope
That's
so.
my hope.
Yes, it has to, right?
That's Lenny's world.
Pretty seen. It's back. I'm so happy about that.
Oh, no, he's wearing a mask.
No, but that is no. But what I'm saying is he's got to deal with that division because everybody hates him. You got to realize that everybody on the right has believed everything said about the left and Biden. They have it sewn into their brain right now that he is taking away their guns, that he is turning us into the socialist country and stuff, that he's going to destroy us economically. That is sewn into their brains, whether you think it or not. And I personally
Yeah.
don't think it either, but that is what's in their head. Just like we were totally convinced that Trump was going to start, well, not we, but the left was totally convinced that he was going to start World War III.
Well, he was
And
talking
he was
shit
gonna
on
cause-
Twitter about war things. And that's the
Yes.
first time you ever heard, just calling people out, calling an entire country out for that. And, obviously some people found that appealing. But there are more professional ways. Even if you are about to strike a country or you're going to start a war with a country, you have to
Yeah, I don't want to know
have
about it.
that. Right. Or you have to
Well,
just
that happened-
maintain that
The
normalcy.
threat of war has loomed over us for decades, and centuries actually. It always is. Government handles most of that behind the scenes.
Right.
Because this was brought to our face thanks to Twitter and social media, that's why we seem so informed and why it seems like such a big issue, but it was happening all the time. The Cold War was huge. That was very similar to what was happening right now, as far as the tensions that were rising between countries. Trump just put it in our face. Trump just put the threats over there, and that way, but the reason I believe he did it was that so he could sound like he came out ahead, and he stopped it, or is his cause. If you don't put that type of stuff in front of somebody, you can never take claim for fixing the problem. And that man wants to take claim for everything good that happens. Nothing bad, of course, because that's all the Dems' fault.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I literally had thought when Trump first announced that the election was fraud and everything, and I was like, okay, well, he's a sore loser. We kind of expected this one way or another. But I was thinking, well, now a lot of his supporters are probably going to see and go, you know what? Yeah, I guess he does kind of just make up stuff to get in there because we know it's not fraud. And a lot of supporters totally believe it.
Right.
I don't get the logic. But I don't care because I still love these people. And that's what's really hard for me to get over because they're so much smarter than that. I'm not saying they're dumb for it. I'm just saying you know to look and research and deal with logic over the words of Grandpa.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing. So do you think this, since the Senate's resuming, and obviously we don't know, or Congress is resuming, do you think anything's going to happen with the election? Do you think it's going to work as planned?
Yeah, it's set in stone. I mean, even if, you have the few like Arizona and a few of the senators around there.
You got headphones keeping it in place.
That are going to protest. Still can't do anything about it. And, I mean, Pence already came out and said that.
Like I said at the start of this, what did they think they were going to accomplish?
Well,
What was the ultimate goal? I get the protesting. The protesting made sense. People protested when Trump got elected, too. I'm in support of peaceful protests, regardless. I don't care what side you're protesting.
Right.
I think that was totally fine. And when they were protesting outside during the when Congress was meeting earlier to vote on the acceptance of the election results in the Electoral College, I was fine with it.
And like McConnell said, the Democrats have done it as well. You say, Democrats and Republicans have done those challenges, but there's a certain point where you say, okay, we did what we can. It's time to do this peacefully and have a smooth transition, make sure this country stays running. And that's what needs to happen right now.
And I think it will. I think we've got a bright future ahead. I think we need to get over these hurdles, and I think we just have to forget about what has happened in a sense. As a people, we have to. As a nation, we're always going to remember what's happened. But as a people, we have to forget and move on.
And don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Unless it's spiked with alcohol. I'm out of Jack Fire. I had to deal with Red Stag tonight. I didn't know I was out of Jack Fire.
So Sunday, Keith, what are we talking about Sunday?
Sunday is our sex show. Actually, it's called Let's Talk About Sex. I think Bill's very excited about that show.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
I think we should fuck with Bill when we actually open up. We should just play one of those PSA videos from school about men and women or boys and girls starting to have feelings and sex, and that'll be our whole show. That's what it was, Bill. I don't know what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it'll be like a health class.
Yeah, exactly.
Junior high health
when
class.
When the penis enters the vagina.
That's exactly. It's hot.
Yeah, that Sunday show. Our show about the whatever show is going, the controlling relationship was supposed to be the topic tonight. That will be moved to probably a future date. It may be on a Friday or something, or done somewhere in the middle. It
might be next week on the 10th. Right, Bill?
Yeah, we'll get rid of the sex show. We'll do that one instead. Bill would have a heart attack and die on the spot.
Bill's kind of like our Kenny from South Park. Is that South Park and Kenny?
Kenny from South Park?
Is that, yeah. Yeah. No?
I think she
what
means
is it?
Kenny's the one that dies all the time.
Yeah. So can we make
yeah, the black and white
Bill like that?
That's what we'll show. We'll open that up for you, Bill. No, it should be good. That'll be on the 10th. And we're not going to have a show the following one, no, we'll have one that Wednesday. The following Sunday, we will not. Oh, God, he quit. Come on. Nobody likes a quitter, Bill. Nobody likes a quitter. No more live feed. Stop screen sharing. Okay. Just got rid of the live feed because there's no reason to go back to it. Yeah, that's going to be happening. So our sex show is coming up on Sunday. Should be a lot of fun and interesting. Just so people know, because we would have announced what it's going to be about on a regular show. It's kind of about just fetishes and things you do and normalcy and not normalcy and what got you into it. It's just, we're just going to try to broaden people's horizons and let them know that sometimes a finger at the butt isn't so bad. I was like... Now you know what the show will be about. All right. It's going to be about a lot of stuff like that. We're just going to talk
How many people you got signed up for that one?
Huh?
How many people you got signed up for that one?
Nobody.
Oh, really?
It's just going to be Keith, and we're all going to be watching.
If it's just going to be me, there's a lot of self-pleasure going on.
my God.
No, we're not. But this is what we got to do as a nation, people. We have to laugh. We have to enjoy ourselves. We have to remember to take these breaks. Don't let politics destroy you. Don't let your world turn to it. You're not a politician. Don't act like you are. Pay attention to what's going on, but enjoy the life that surrounds you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's really important and something we've forgotten to do for the last 4 years, especially.
Yeah. Hopefully, when we all
You
can hug
better.
again.
You're going to sign Lewis up. Sign Lewis up. We want him on this. Lewis is Ashley's boyfriend, fiance, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, get him on here. We want you on, Ashley, too. We'd love to have a couple on here. That would be perfect if we had a couple on here. So Ashley, think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's Sunday at 7. But thank you all. I think we've covered enough on here. It was nice talking to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Miss you guys.
Indeed, that's what we need. We need sexual healing.
Yeah, go back to when the kids were young. Simple world. I agree with that, Jan. I want to go back to when I was young and didn't give shit about anything.
Right, yeah.
Or I'd jump off the roof and just hope I survived. Instead of, taking a step down and worry if I'm going to trip and break my hip.
Did you jump off my roof?
We all jumped off your roof.
Right, I know. It was a pretty easy roof to jump off of, though.
It isn't now.
Onto a breakdancing pad that was like this thick.
Pointless.
Yeah. It wasn't even a couch cushion.
Did you break dance?
We tried.
I didn't break dance.
We used to do front flips over a bush onto that same pad.
We'll see if we can get you on the panel, Bill. If you want to be on, that's fine. No GIMP outfits.
But how will you know if it's him?
Okay, GIMP outfit. No, that'll be fun. Thank you, everybody. It's just been really good. I'm glad we got to get a lot of this off our chest. I just want to try and hope that everybody remembers to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This violence has to go. This type of thought, I saw several things that are pointing out we're armed and ready, America, and I've seen several posts of people's guns and what they plan to do. I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I've seen a lot of people that are 100% for them. That needs to stop because, first of all, you're probably not going to fucking do it. You're just joining the masses. You're just doing it to get a reaction out of people. But you're scaring a lot of people. And that fear is what leads to what we saw today. It wasn't as much out of hate as it was fear. The people that even broke in there actually fear the idea of a Biden presidency, and there's no reason to. As there's no reason to fear the Trump presidency when we had it. And some of us were wrong in fearing that too, because really, what's different?
Right. I mean,
what?
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, what is still here is us.
Mm-hmm.
And our friends and most of our families, well, most of them. And that's what we have to rely on. Because I don't care who the fuck you are, Trump ain't going to help you out in a bad situation. Biden ain't going to either. We help each other out.
But your friends and family will.
Yes.
Right.
So keep them. Thank you again, everybody. I want you all to have a great night, and we will see you on Sunday for our Let's Talk About Sex show. Because we're going to talk about...
Talk about sex, baby.
Exactly why I named it too. I haven't decided if I'm going to use that song yet, because I'm going to get flagged for sure if I do, but I kind of want to. I love that song.
I know.
I absolutely love that song. Take care, everybody.
No.
That was nice. I don't know. The thing is, I'm still, floored by what I saw today. I really am. I was a little bit speechless at the time. So it's really hard to do this without going off, because I kind of wanted to go off a little bit.
Yeah.
But the thing about I wanted to go to Facebook and all that, but you're going off on the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what was hard because most of my Facebook friends were not doing that.
Well, the thing that's more disheartening to me, though, is just the comments of that, oh, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Like, you're ready
That's
for
what
it.
hit me hard is I was
Texting
looking on Facebook.
from your fucking phone on your bathroom
Yeah.
toilet.
Nobody should have supported what was happening.
Yeah.
And nobody supported the rioting that was happening during BLM. Nobody
Right.
should support during TV. That should not have been supported. I agree with that. The protesting, however, I believe should be supported if you believe in support. If you believe in that, protesting's fine. Jan says this day will go down in history. Sadly, there's multiple directions that could be taken from Jan. Honestly, Jan, I mean, I do know your side. This day should have gone down in history no matter what, but not for the reasons it's going to anymore.
Right.
You think there's going to be
led to that?
You think there's going to be longevity to this act, though, or I think it's going to be forgotten in a heartbeat.
You know what? I think it's going to become muddled, because I think all the right's going to say the violence never happened, and I think all the left's going to say it was only violent.
Our attention spans are so
and that wasn't it in either case.
small.
That was wrong. Right. The violence did happen. Somebody was killed.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, like I have my family member already saying Antifa is doing
Right,
this.
yeah,
It's not Trump supporters. It's Antifa. And
I
she
know
just
Trump
sent,
supporters that are down there, so I don't want to
I
do
know.
that.
She just sent me a text to watch Newsmax. They are talking about Antifa element. I'm not going to.
Right.
It's just dumb.
Well, I mean,
know?
it's real simple. You have all those people that were taking pictures on the Senate floor and in Nancy Pelosi's room. You have cameras everywhere. You just find out who they are and then arrest them.
Exactly. And
then
bye-bye.
you
You'll be
can
in jail
find
for a
out.
long time.
You can find out whether or not, or what party. I think
Right.
that's one of the things that doesn't get put out enough. And it didn't happen during BLM. It didn't happen with that. Is follow-up, on these people that were causing these sort of things. You had a lot of sort of conspiracy theories out there regarding certain members dropping off entire piles of bricks in front of places that were doing protests for BLM, and then the same thing
Answer. I
with
think we're
this
losing
now.
viewers. Our video was blocked.
Our video was blocked.
Yeah, but I'm going to go over this really quick before we're done. As far as Jan, if you're still on there listening, we're losing viewers anyway. I think it's because it's blocked. It should have gone down in history for what was happening in Congress, not for the rioting. Bill, he think he's gone, but he said, change my mind, Pink for president, 100%.
I
I'll vote
love
for in a
her. Me
Us
too.
too. And Jan said, ooh, sex, we're happy about that.
Why was
So
it blocked?
thank you, everybody. I don't know. It says we got blocked for the music or audio, that Star Spangled Banner, which it's from the YouTube audio library. It's free. It's public domain. So it shouldn't have been blocked. I'll just have to dispute that one. So, all right. I just want to thank everybody because it was fun.